Okay, so hello everybody. I'm delighted today to introduce you to one of the graduates of the Essentially Flowers Diploma in Flower and Vibrational Essences, Marie Christine Matos. So Marie is going to tell you all about herself in a second, but she's a professional coach and practitioner. She graduated from our diploma in 2019. So we have a 4-year amazing transformation to hear about. So thank you for joining me today, Marie. Would you please share with everybody, tell everybody about you and what you do?
Well, thanks, Sarah, and hi, everybody. So, about me. So, I'm a professional coach. Did it this year, and a member of the International Coaching Federation. Jeez, I can't speak this morning. And I also am a holistic practitioner. So I focus mainly on classical and intentional Feng Shui. I obviously bring the flowers and vibrational essences into it. And I also look into ancestral healing and family constellations. So they're the three main pillars of my holistic practice, in addition to the coaching.
Beautiful. And I love how 4 years on you have clarity about how essences can help bring all this together. Because it is one of the things I notice is that what essences do when they're used over a longer period of time, they help bring things together. They kind of reweave and reknit things back together. So I love that you are now out there in the world using essences with your particular passion. I love that. So let's talk about your journey with essences a little bit, because I think it's always inspiring for everybody and probably very helpful for you as well, just to revisit.
Yeah.
So when you joined in 2000, and so it would have been about 2018. Gosh, that's a while.
It was actually September 2017.
Right. Yeah.
And it was, I called you that summer because the diploma had been mentioned to me as something that I could look into. And I really didn't know anything about flower essences. Like, I'd never taken any, didn't know anything about it. And started looking into it, and then we had that clarity call, and I was like, and as we talked, I was like, oh, that sounds really, really interesting. That's something I don't know. And my curious mind was like, oh, I don't know about this. I need to know about it. And I was supposed to start that summer. And then I asked you if I could push it out by a month because my mom passed. So literally, I had decided to start the diploma, and my mum passed away in that August. So I really starting the course in September and the first module was all about Star of Bethlehem and grief. And to me, it was like, oh, this is so timely, because I was starting a new thing with an essence that actually is to support what I was actually going through. So yeah, that just, synchronicities, the universe, call it whatever you want, but it was really timely when I started.
Yes, I do remember that time, which was very obviously very life-changing for you. When we lose one of our parents, it's huge. And so it was beautiful that you were able then to access the support in the way that you did for the next 15 months-ish as you took your journey. We often find actually that the journey lines itself up with people's lives, and like 10 years on at the time of recording, I'm still in awe of how that happens, how people come in and it just slots into their time frame. It's because we're working with an energy much bigger than our human capacities, really, which is part of the magic. So you lost your mum, and you obviously, that was really huge. But if you could find some words to describe what your life was like compared to now. We'll talk about the now in a second, but what was missing in your life at that time? Obviously, you were dealing with your mum's illness and, you know, the expectations of what was going to happen and all of those things. But just generally, what else was going on? How are you feeling?
So for about 10 years, so like a lot of us, there's a lot of intuition. You kind of connecting, you feel things, you have your gut feelings. And in 2006, I had a major car crash, and that really reset a lot of my expectations. So I always look back and I say I was lost, not lost in my early 20s. I really pushed the boundaries of, sure, I don't need the family, my friends, and go around the world, do whatever. And that crash really reset expectations and was like, no, you need to follow your gut here. You had loads of signs. The universe was telling you things and you were ignoring it. And a lot of haha moments at the time of people I thought would be there for me and weren't. So suddenly my whole, oh God, I've been sacrificing my parents and my family for them. That's not right. So there was a reset. And at the same time, within a year, Mummy was diagnosed with Alzheimer. So for the following 10 years, there is a journey of reconnecting to my ancestors, to my female lineage, to me, to practices I had left behind because I was too focused on other things, reconnecting to maybe very old shamanic roots and circle. So that journey was like reconnecting to things I had unconsciously in a way pushed aside. So when the diploma came, it was coming out of a Celtic wheel I was doing. And it came at a time where I was like, okay, I'm reconnecting to those things, but I'm a scientist. And there was that thing missing of a tool, a tangible tool, something I can actually take in my hands that I can reason with in a way, even though, I mean, Flower and Vibrational Essences are all about energy, but there was a neuroscience nearly behind it I could grasp.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, oh, why haven't heard anything about this? So it came at a time where I was reconnecting to who I am and clearing a lot of patterns, acknowledging beliefs, acknowledging history of my lineages, acknowledging and being compassionate to myself as well. And I think that's what then the essences helped throughout the diploma was reconnecting to the past, to decisions made, to and be okay with it and say, you know what, it was okay because that led you to this part and that led you to this. So I need at that time there was something missing to help me come to terms with certain things and maybe highlight things that I thought weren't there anymore. I think if I look back, there was one I'll always remember because it was so shocking. I can't remember which module it was, and suddenly I was back as a 3-4 year old and remembering. So my mom used to tell me, "Oh, when we put you in, it's not pre-primary school in France, it's la maternelle, so you're 3." And she said, "Oh, the first few months I was so sad because I could see you're in the benches on your own." And the reason was that my parents are Portuguese, so for the first 3 years of my life, they only spoke Portuguese to me. I didn't speak French. So I came into that school system with people talking a language that I didn't know. So for a few months, I was just there, and she used to come back from work and see me, in la cour where everybody was playing, and I was on my own. And that I remember that module. There was, I can't remember the essence it was, but it was the journey into it, and suddenly it was like the tears coming out, and suddenly realizing that even though my mom had been telling me that for years, I was like, oh yeah, that must have been sad. But suddenly the immensity of the feeling came back, and I was like, actually, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was that realization that this actually triggered a behavior in me of really doing my best at school, rejecting somehow at some stage, early teenage, when my parents were thinking of moving back to Portugal, and I made a big fuss. I didn't want to. When my brother was born, I would not speak Portuguese to him. I was speaking French to him. And at the time, everybody's, oh, she's just being a brat and she's not. But that moment during the poem, someone was like, no, it was the inner child trauma that was coming out to protect him so he wouldn't be in the same situation I had been in.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's just one example of all that work was going on before I started. And then throughout the modules, some of the essences brought back things that were ready to be brought to my awareness, and I could actually deal with it in a safe and sacred way.
Yeah.
And actually move on.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, I do remember that now. You're sharing that with me, and it is big. And I think it's all of us on some level have had experiences, most of the time, no fault to anybody else, that we just dealt with and kind of put aside, because what else can you do? And they, as you quite rightly say, they do embed behaviors or response patterns and things like that. And so, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because it is, essences are very safe, especially when you're taking them with some kind of guidance. So either with a practitioner for deeper things. Yes, Dr. Batch wanted everybody to be able to use them, and of course they can, but when we're doing deeper things, it's very helpful to have a guide, which is obviously what we're doing with the diploma, is allowing you to now take that out to support others. So yes, you had already connected back to your roots. You came into the diploma, your scientific Aquarian mind, something we both share, was like, ooh, there's something there I need to know. So you came in, you did the work, you took the journey, and it started to move things around in you, it started to help you heal, make things make sense to you. So what does your life and perhaps your business look like 4 years on since graduation?
So, within the graduation, towards the end, I actually changed roles. I still work for the moment in a multinational, but I was going from an area that was very detail orientated, very structured, to more a human element to it, which was learning and performance type. So you're more into the training in the performance people, you help them develop. So somehow the essence, whatever was going on, helped me get to a role that was nearly more aligned to my core. And so since then, I went back to shamanism. I did a lot of work on that. I then got interested in Feng Shui, so I qualified as a practitioner of classical and intentional Feng Shui, which I find absolutely fascinating. It's another one, like
Love, isn't it?
Pharisees have their thing, and then Feng Shui is like, oh wow, this is why I used to do this. And so it's bringing back a structure around the intuition and giving explanations. Did a lot of work around ancestral healing. I qualified as family constellation practitioner. And again, that was bringing me back to my deep passion to my ancestors, who I truly respect, admire, and have compassion for, because we tend to look back and say, "Oh, why did it do that?" But we weren't there. Like, I think we have to look back at. It just helped me to look back at souls' journeys, and we come and do, and we do the best we can with what we have. And as inheritors of that, we really need to have that compassion and understanding, and that's the work I had to do, like with my mum and other female lineages. So I'm coming to a place, and then I did a lot of ad hoc work, ad hoc. It's not an undermining word. It's more, things are not within those three main streams. So I've been undergoing the Priestess and High Priestess program with Sarah, and I've been doing other wheels with other mentors and learned to reconnect to the seasons. So it's opened up a much more wide way of, how can I say, a variety of practices that I wouldn't have deep dive into before. And it reached a stage where I actually, a few weeks ago, resigned from my corporate role. So to actually just take a break and really take the time to reconnect to who I am, what do I want, what do I, all those things now, how do I really bring them and create, and I suppose from a Feng Shui point of view, it's very interesting. You need the space. So one of the number one things we tell people in Feng Shui is, do you have clutter? Do you have things in your space? But it's the same in life. So to me, it's nearly, I need to have space to actually bloom and bring all those gifts and offerings to people. So yeah, that's where I am now from a professional kind of point.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, so big changes. I've seen you move powerfully within all of this. And I think it is what happens. We get redirected. We get connected to nature and how she works, to her timings. And sometimes we get in our own way. I know I do still. It's normal. But there is something bigger than us that it almost feels to me like train tracks, like shifting. You just get rooted into a different place, and it's a better place. And then it goes on, and then the tracks might change again, but it's our hearts guiding it rather than the head forcing it. So it does take a lot of the angst out of it. So there's a lady actually here with us live, Marie, and I think it's really fun for you to hear. So Jabaru, I hope I've pronounced your name properly, who sounds as if she does a lot of similar work to you. The death doula, medium, galactic shamanism, ancestral healing, family constellation. So
Amazing.
yeah, absolutely. So you can go say hello to each other after we finish. Sounds as if you've got a lot in common. Yes, it is an online diploma. Yeah, because Jabaru is in Australia. So so just coming back now to the diploma. Thank you for sharing all that you've done and how Essences kind of brought it all together, because there's obviously more to your journey, which is normal, and for some it is, we are quite multi-dimensional and we have different pieces. What was your favorite part of the diploma? It's a big question, I know. Over and above the qualification.
So I suppose there's two main things. First, I didn't know anything about essences. So for me, it was really the discovery of, I was given enough throughout the diploma, a bit like, when you go and you get a tasting menu. So you're given a little bit to see, yeah, I like that, no, I don't like that. And that's what, one of the favorite things, like the number one, was I didn't know anything, and the diploma allowed me to dip my toes in different ranges and different aspects. find myself. Like, I mean, I came out and there was 2 to 3 ranges. I was like, yeah, they're my ranges. Oh yeah, they're great. The others are fine, but and it made sense why I connected to them because of who I am and what I connect to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my, the learning and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the second piece was really the people, because I mean, I won't call out names, but I'll call my spinach friends, and I know if she listens to that, she'll know. And you just spend time with people, and even though most of it is online, and all of it, I think, since COVID with the weekends and all, but at the time we were meeting face to face for the weekends, and the people, you get to know people you wouldn't have met otherwise. And even though different, you share a common curiosity and openness to each other's journey. So they were the 2 big aspects for me.
It's what we call flower friends. Flower friends we may never actually meet, although we might. But, like years on, you can connect with a flower friend who's taken a similar journey, and they will just get you straight away. So it is precious. It's true. Yeah. Well, thank you, Marie, for joining us today and sharing your journey. I know it's been inspirational, and there will be many people over time that will listen to this and helps people to understand the bigger picture of essences and how they can actually change the trajectory of our lives. That's kind of a big ask when you're standing in the sort of pharmacy or chemist and you've got a bottle and you think, how could that change my life? But, it is the joining of the pieces together. Yeah. Do you have any words of wisdom for anybody before we say goodbye?
I was thinking about that. The key thing really is it can be taken lightly. Because let's say if you take the back essences or even the Australian bush or others, you may find them in health stores or pharmacies, and I think my word of wisdom is it's worth the journey, but it's not a light journey. So you need to really be open to the fact that things will come up, but you want them to come up because you want to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me what is the biggest thing, is it's a real transformative journey, but you really need to be open to it and embrace it. Yeah, that's my key, but it's worth it in the end. Now I remember during diploma you used to tell me, Jesus, you're the fire walker, because I'd just go full on. So I'd say, everybody's different, but you need to be willing to change, and things to move.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's why we're here. I mean, this is our journey, so it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, change isn't easy, is it? Because if it was, we would have changed beforehand. And it's hard to do it on our own, because we can get lost in our own self-doubt in our own heads. It's what being a human being is. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So I will share with you how you can find out more about Marie Christine. Thank you so much. I'll also flag up with this video how anybody can find out more about the diploma. So yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Marie.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.